Today we'll be telling the story of St.Medard, whose feast is celebrated on June 8th. Medard was born around the year 456 in Picardy, France. His father was a nobleman, and Medard was raised with a good education and Christian values. His holiness did not go unnoticed, and at the age of 33 he was ordained. Against his wishes, he was chosen as the Bishop of Vermont, and even though he hadn't wanted the job, he spent the rest of his life devoted to doing it well. St. Medard is the patron saint of the weather, because there's a legend that when he was a little boy, he found himself caught in the rain, but instead of getting wet, an eagle appeared and hovered over him like an umbrella. He is also the patron saint against toothaches, because he is often depicted in sacred art with a big open-mouthed smile. So if you ever see a painting of a saint with a big smile and an eagle, it's probably St. Medard. Now it's time for our story. St. Medard straightened his hat and pulled the garden gate closed behind him. He was heading into town for the day to run some errands and meet some parishioners. It was a lovely spring day in the north of France. The sun was shining and the birds were chirping happily. Smiling to himself, he whistled a tune as he walked down the cobblestone street towards town. But back in the garden, something wasn't quite right. A dark, shadowy figure jumped over the garden wall, snuck past the rose bushes, and crept into the stable. There, St. Medard had a pet ox that he loved dearly, and it was that pet ox that a sneaky thief decided to steal. The thief led the ox out the back of the garden and down the road in the opposite direction of town. Ha, the thief thought to himself, nobody saw me, the perfect crime, and he was very pleased with his apparent criminal success. The thief brought the stolen ox home and put him into his own stable. There you are, make yourself at home, since this is your home now, he snickered. The ox, who didn't really know the difference between one stable and the next, lay down to take a nap. But even though the ox had stopped moving, the bell around his neck kept ringing, and ringing, and ringing. What on earth? Thought the thief. That darn bell. My neighbors are going to come and ask what's going on if that thing keeps ringing and ringing. Irritated and muttering to himself, the thief knelt down by the sleeping ox, who didn't seem bothered by the bell, and stuffed it full of hay. But still it kept ringing. Curses, the thief shouted. It was starting to get dark, and he was starting to become more and more nervous that his neighbors would be attracted by the sound of the bell. He tore the bell off the ox's neck, pulled the hammer out of it, the little dangly part in the middle, and locked it in a box in his house. But it kept ringing. The sound of the bell was starting to really get to the thief now. Not only would someone hear, but it was driving him crazy. He took the box and, muttering and cursing to himself, dug a hole in his yard and buried the box with the broken bell deep in the ground. Ha! Take that, you infernal bell, he shouted. But even as he shoveled the last bits of dirt back over the box, he could still hear the bell ringing, loud and clear as ever. That was it. The thief, gripped with fear and remorse, ran to the stable, took the ox, and led it back home to St. Medard. He could hear the bell ringing the whole walk back. Finally, when he arrived at the door of St. Medard, he threw himself down in the street and called out, "Father Medard, have mercy on me, a sinner. I stole your ox, but I have brought him back. Please forgive me for what I have done." St. Medard opened the door and forgave the poor thief. "Thank you for bringing back my ox. I forgive you. Please stop stealing from people and change your life, because the effects of a sinful life will follow you, just like the sound of that bell." And with that, the bell stopped ringing. The story of St. Medard reminds us that sin follows us, but that God's forgiveness sets us free again. St. Medard, pray for us.